Hello there, folks. I'm Dan Brown from a sort of interesting life.com, and today you're joining me for the world's most epic narrowboat trip. No, of course you're not. This is going to be about 2 minutes of actual boating, but as you're seeing here, what this has given me the opportunity to do is actually record the entire process from before the engine was even switched on to the boat being unmoored, taken just through a bridge ahead, tied up again, and then the engine switched off, without this turning into a video that's about 5 hours long. So you'll see the first thing that I did then was get out and start the engine up, and then just give it a little bit of a rev in neutral for the inverter to kick in so that it starts charging the batteries up. Then the second thing I've done is untied the back rope, but not completely, before I then head up to the front of the boat to untie the bow line, and you'll see that I then completely untie the front rope, which basically means that because the back rope is tied very loosely, I can just walk back to the back of the boat, untie the line attached to the stern, and then hop straight on and start steering. Whereas if I was untying the front rope second, man, I'm getting this confused. If I was untying the front rope, I would then have to come back down to the back of the boat and hop straight on. And it's just better, I think, personally, to undo the one right next to where you want to be steering as the last rope that you do. You'll also notice that because we're moored on a temporary spot here, the front of the boat there, you've just seen me pick up the chain that I had the boat moored up with. Then the back rope is actually just on a normal mooring ring, so I haven't got any extra equipment or anything to pull up there, but that's not a particularly exciting thing to say. So, as I say, now that the front is completely untied, I'm doing the simple task of just untying the last very loosely tied on stern line, hopping onto the stern, and away we go. Let's change the camera angle and enjoy this unbelievably long boat trip. So, as you can see, there's nothing magical or crazy to report here. This is just business as usual. Nice slow trip. Obviously, with it being such a short distance, just to basically get off these temporary mooring rings, which I only moored up on just for ease of use, as I had some other people on board at the time of mooring, but really I wanted to moor just up and through this bridge. But like I say, circumstances were not quite standard, so I thought let's just go for the easy option and not have to worry too much. And this is one of those great things where, in the typical fashion, despite the fact that before recording this video I hadn't seen anybody really out on the canal for a good while, as soon as I set about filming this boat trip, so there was a pair of dog walkers who walked up and over the canal bridge that were about to pass under, and perfectly, the chap leans over the canal and is just having a general nose around and a general look, as most people, well, many people do over these bridges, and so I caught him doing some very good gurning, and I thought, well, I don't know you, but what I'm not going to do is throw you all over the internet pulling some very weird faces. So, as you can see, we've zoomed in the camera angle slightly as we approach the bridge, and then we'll have the weird effect in just a second as we get under the bridge, but then zoom the camera back out so it looks like we've just jumped back for a couple of feet. But this is all one continuous clip, I can promise you. So yeah, really, like I say, it's nice and slow. Especially with it being such a short distance, and even in the longest trips I do, I barely reach 3 miles an hour a lot of the time. But really, what we're doing here is just going to moor up just a little way down past the bridge, so there's plenty of room for boats to pass and not going to cause any trouble for the bridge. But we're going to stay close to this bridge in terms of being able to hop on my bike and be up on it in the minute or so. So that it's just a very good, very easy access point for roads, and if there's anybody who wants to come out and see me, or if there's anything that I need supply-wise, then we've got a good access for just a couple of days to moor up here and be able to get in and out of work and that without having to do too much on the towpath. It's pretty dry on the towpath at the time of recording this video, but you can imagine when the rain starts to come in, it's about 2 miles from here into Ellesmere itself. It definitely gets just a little bit muddy out on these sort of areas, especially as the leaves start to fall down and get mushed up too. Anyway, I suppose really I should carry on with the actual proper commentary of this video. So you would have seen me then just hop off the boat and finally bring it to a full stop with the middle line, which I only really use for general controlling of the boat when I'm mooring up. Because of Tilly's square back end, I tend to moor up these days by tightening up the back rope entirely, because basically the back rope is tied to the very corner of the boat rather than being slightly in sort of to the middle of the boat like the front line is. Whereas if I tied up the front of the boat first and tried to pull the rope completely tight, then I would literally just pull the front end of the boat in, which, because of the curved shape of the bow, would send the back end of the boat right out across into the canal, which I hope that makes sense. Whereas most narrowboats will have a rounded stern and a rounded bow, whereas Tilly's got the square stern. It means that if I tie up the back end, then it's completely parallel to the canal side itself, which obviously, again, like if I moored up the bow tightly, it would send the back end flying out. If you moored up and pulled the back end of a narrowboat completely tight first time, then that would start to push the bow out into the water as well. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. It's a difficult one to try and explain in words, but I hope you get the general gist. Whereas because of Tilly's just being straight down the side from the bow, as long as that's straight, then I know that tying up the stern rope tightly, it's going to be exactly where it needs to be. So then, when I get to the front of the boat and pull the front rope tight, I know that I'm pulling everything nice and tightly against the side, completely flat. Which again, I don't think that makes much sense the way that I've worded it, but hopefully you can see the general thing of what I mean from the video. So really, to sum things up and finally conclude, it's all about the usual that I say: taking your time, being sensible, making sure that you're choosing a nice mooring space where you're not going to be in everybody's way, or that you're not likely to be bumped around or anything like that, and ultimately just enjoying the great outdoors on a beautiful autumn day like this. I say beautiful, we've got a lot of cloud cover, but at least it's not chilly to the extreme. So, just a final walk down of Tilly. I suppose I'll wrap things up and say thanks for watching. Check out my other videos for loads more boaty bits like this, weekly uploads and all sorts of other stuff. If you wish to support me, then please do consider checking out my short boat life books for the Kindle. You'll find links to all those in the description, or you can search The Narrowboat Lad on Amazon. And I suppose, as usual, for loads of boaty photos and stuff, feel free to add me on Facebook and Twitter and like the Facebook page, all that sort of stuff. But until the next time, keep it boat worthy, have a fantastic day, and of course, farewell.